My wife and her best friend accused me of having an affair, then got angry when I didn't have one. I never thought my marriage would come to this. Accused and betrayed, not by a stranger, but by the woman I vowed to stand by forever. And the worst part? Even after proving my innocence, it still wasn't enough. But let me start from the beginning. My wife, Emily, 29F, and I, 31M, had our daughter last December. It was a rough birth, traumatic in ways we never expected. The aftermath hit Emily hard. She developed severe postpartum depression. The vibrant, happy woman I married faded into someone I barely recognized. We had originally planned for her to return to work, but after seeing her struggle, we agreed she should stay home for a year. Therapy became a lifeline for her, and as for me, I had to pick up the slack. I increased my hours at work, sometimes working late into the night. It wasn't ideal, but it was necessary. We both agreed to it. So when my boss offered me a major project, a game changer for my career and our finances, we sat down and talked about it. Emily said yes. I was relieved. For 4 weeks, I'd work extra hours, and in return, we'd be more financially stable. During this time, Emily's best friend, Jessie, 29F, started coming around more often to help out. A stay-at-home mom herself, she had 2 young kids and seemed eager to support Emily. I appreciated it, until I realized Jessie wasn't just helping. She was poisoning my wife against me. 3 weeks into the project, my boss asked if I could extend my hours for just a few more weeks. I went home, discussed it with Emily again, and she agreed. But almost immediately after, I noticed a shift. She became cold, distant. At first, I assumed it was just her depression making things hard again. I didn't push. I thought I was giving her space. Then, on one of my last nights working late, I came home to find Jessie still at the house. Nothing unusual, until I heard something that stopped me in my tracks. He doesn't even stop to greet you. Definitely a sign. I turned around, my pulse spiking. A sign of what? I asked. Jessie's eyes narrowed. My wife was already in tears. And then Jessie said it. You're cheating on her, aren't you? I laughed. I actually laughed because it was so insane. Are you serious? I asked. Jessie leaned forward like she had just cracked some big case. You're always working late. You stopped paying attention to Emily. You never even compliment her anymore. Emily sobbed harder. I've been so scared, and Jessie says... I cut her off. Jessie says what? That because I'm working my ass off for this family, I'm sleeping with someone else? Jessie crossed her arms. If you have nothing to hide, let us see your phone. That's when I got mad. Let you see my phone? Who the hell do you think you are? Jessie looked smug. That reaction? Another sign? I turned to my wife. Do you want to see my phone? She hesitated, and that hesitation broke something inside me. After everything we had been through, she still wasn't sure. I handed her my phone. She scrolled. Nothing. No suspicious texts, no calls, no deleted messages. I expected an apology. I expected regret. Instead, Jessie doubled down. He deleted it, she said. He's smart. He knew we'd check. And then she started screaming, waking up our daughter. That was the final straw. Get out of my house, I told Jessie. She scoffed. Wow, so defensive. I didn't care anymore. I physically escorted her to the door and slammed it shut. I turned to my wife, expecting her to finally see reason, but she was still crying. After I put our daughter back to sleep, I sat next to Emily. We need to talk, I said. She wouldn't look at me. I was just worried. Worried, I repeated, or manipulated? She sniffled. You were gone so much, and Jessie was saying all these things that made sense. She said men always cheat when their wives get fat. I clenched my jaw. You think I care about that? She shook her head, but the damage was done. I showed you everything, I said quietly. I proved I was working. I gave you my phone, and you still let Jessie convince you I was a liar. Emily wiped her eyes. I believe you now. I'm sorry. It should have been enough. But it wasn't, because the real issue wasn't the cheating accusation. It was the fact that she believed Jessie over me. The project ended. I cut back my hours. I spent more time at home. But something had changed. I didn't trust her anymore. Every time she said she was fine, I questioned if she meant it. Every time I left the house, I wondered if I'd come back to more accusations, more doubt, more betrayal. And no matter how many times I tried to talk about it, she shut me down. It's not the time, she'd say. I'm too tired, so I let it fester. And now I'm sitting here wondering, is this my life now? Will I spend the rest of my marriage walking on eggshells, afraid that the next project, business trip, or late-night errand will make her spiral again? I don't know how to move forward. I love my wife, I love my daughter, but I can't keep living in a house where I feel like a suspect instead of a husband. So tell me, what would you do? Update. I wish I had a happy update. I wish I could say things got better. But the truth? The truth is worse than I ever imagined. After everything that happened, the accusations, the betrayal, the manipulation, I took a hard look at myself. Everyone who commented on my last post made me realize something I had been ignoring. I was drowning. I was exhausted, broken, carrying the weight of my wife's illness, my family, my job, all while trying to convince the woman I love that I wasn't a liar. I couldn't do it anymore. So that night, I sat my wife down and told her I was going to start therapy. I didn't blame her for anything. I didn't bring up the accusations. I just told her that I was struggling and needed help. She shrugged. Do whatever. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. The next day, I came home from work to find my world turned upside down. Our bedroom, destroyed. My home office, ransacked. Papers scattered everywhere. Important documents, personal files, everything I had neatly stored was thrown across the room like a tornado had hit. And my wife? Gone. But our daughter? Alone, crying. I don't know how long she had been there, but my wife had just left her. No note, no explanation, no calls. Her phone was off. Panic set in. I called my in-laws. No answer. Called our friends. Nothing. I started to feel that kind of dread that creeps up your spine when you know something isn't just wrong. It's dangerous. I finally called my mom and asked if she could come over to watch my daughter while I went out to look for my wife. But before my mom could get there, my wife came back, and Jessie was driving. Jessie didn't come inside. She just sat in the driver's seat staring at me like she had won. My wife, on the other hand, stormed into the house like a hurricane, eyes red, face streaked with tears, breathing hard. I barely got a word out before she started screaming. "You're a liar," she shrieked. "You're using therapy as a cover so you can see your mistress." The world tilted. "What the hell are you talking about?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. She wasn't listening. She was gone. Gone in a way that scared me more than anything had before. I reached out, trying to gently take her hands and get her to sit down. Listen to me, and then she hit me. Not a slap, not a shove. A full-force punch straight to my face. The pain was instant, sharp, blinding. I felt my nose crunch, blood gushing down my face, soaking my shirt. She gasped, not in horror, not in guilt, just like she had finally released something she had been holding inside for too long. Then, as quickly as the storm had come, she shut down. She sat on the couch, staring at the wall, not crying, not speaking, just blank. And I realized then I couldn't fix this. I stumbled into my daughter's room, locked the door, and called my mom. "I need you here, now." Then I called my mother-in-law and told her she needed to come take care of her daughter, because I was done. When my mom arrived, she barely looked at my face before grabbing my daughter and my bag. We left. My wife didn't even look up as I walked out the door. My mom took my daughter to my dad's while I went to urgent care. Broken nose, blood everywhere, ruined my mom's brand new Subaru. And now, my wife and I are separating, not divorcing, not yet. I want to believe that this isn't really her, that it's the sickness twisting her into someone I don't recognize. I want to believe that she can get help, that she can be the woman I married again. Her parents are looking into inpatient treatment. I hope she goes. I hope she gets better. But I also know this. I will never live in fear in my own home again. I'm looking into getting a restraining order against Jessie. I've documented everything in case this turns into a custody battle. And as much as I love my wife, I will not put myself or my daughter back into a situation where we are not safe. My heart is shattered. I don't know if this is the right decision, but for the first time in months, I can finally breathe. Thank you to everyone who told me to take care of myself. You might have just saved my life. Edit. First, I want to thank everyone for their advice. I've read every comment, and while my mind is still fogged with grief, one thing became clear. I need to protect my daughter. After talking with my parents and reflecting on everything that has happened, I realized that I can't just sit back and let this go. My wife is gone because of a lie that Jessie fed her, nurtured, and weaponized until it broke her completely. And now she wants to stand at her funeral and pretend she was a friend? No, I just left the police station. I filed a report. I don't know if anything will come of it, but at least it's on record. I owed my wife that much. A woman poisoned my wife's mind against me, feeding her delusions until it led to a complete mental breakdown. Because of that, I had to take our infant daughter and leave for our own safety. My wife's family was preparing to get her into inpatient treatment, but before that could happen, she came to my parents' house late Sunday night and demanded that I hand over our daughter. I refused. She left. A few hours later, she drove her parents' car into a tree. She didn't survive. Now, Jessie, the woman who orchestrated this entire nightmare, wants to speak at my wife's funeral. She got my in-laws' approval without even asking me, and when I told her no, we fought. She called me an asshole, as if I hadn't lost everything already. My in-laws are adamant that she speaks. They love her. They don't see what she did. Maybe they never will. And maybe I could fight this, cause a scene, make them choose sides. But I won't. Because this funeral isn't about Jessie. It isn't about me. It's about my wife. I don't know if I can sit there and listen to Jessie pretend to grieve, but I will be there for my daughter. I will make sure that when she grows up and asks about her mother, she will know the truth. My wife deserved better than this, and I will make sure our daughter has a chance at something better. Thank you to everyone who helped me see that. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing because I will be posting more videos like this daily.